Hello, everybody. This is No4271 coming at you with another Ancient Warriors in depth. Today we are looking at the spells and traps for the archetype, as well as some other just generic Beast Warrior support. We'll start with the generic Beast Warrior card of Tinky. This is a really good card, running 3 up. It can add 1 level 4 lower Beast Warrior from the deck to hand. This is Sun Mu, Lu Xuan, Zhuge Kong, anything that you want that's not Guan Yun, Zhang Dai, Zheng Yun, and Chao Dai. So any other monster besides those 4, you can add to your hand with Tinky. It's really good, and usually you can add Sun Mu. Then Sun Mu can send this card to the graveyard as cost to activate its effect. So you don't have to send something in your hand. And the Tensu is a extra normal summon. It's good. Like when it walks, it's really good. Like say Sun Mu gets stopped, you have Tensu in a wind, Tensu, summon the wind, make the link 2. It allows you to kind of continue if you get stopped, if you have it and a wind in your hand. But if you have it and no wind in your hand, say just another one, the best thing you do is a link 4, which I mean technically you can do Baguska pass, and they can't like negate the effect or out of the card. Then you can stall for a couple turns, or if you don't have a monster at all, it's just a brick in your hand. So you can run it if you want to. I typically don't run it in my builds, but I've seen some people running that 2, 3, sometimes even 1. So now we look at the Ancient Warrior specific cards. We have 4 spells and 1 traps. 2 of the spells, 3 visits, and east by south winds have effects to send themselves to the graveyard during the second cinema phase after activation. And then 3 of the cards have effects when sent to the graveyard, and that's 3 visits, borrowing of arrows, and east by south winds. So 3 visits is hands down the best spell or trap Ancient Warrior card in the deck. During the main phase, if you no more summon an Ancient Warrior monster, you can just once per turn. You can target one of those monsters and add 1 Ancient Warrior from your deck to the hand with a different name. So, I mean, you can add, say, if you don't open up Sun Mu, or say you have Lu Xuan, but they only have 1 monster, this allows you to normal summon an Ancient Warrior that's not Sun Mu, or Lu Xuan if they only have 1 monster, add Zhuge Kong, then you can still summon Zhuge Kong because this is an Ancient Warrior card adding it, and then you can still make the link 2. So it kind of helps you if you don't open up Sun Mu, but you open up this in an Ancient Warrior name, even if it is, no, it doesn't work for Zhuge Kong, because it has to be a different name. So if you open up this, an Ancient Warrior normal summon, it guarantees you Zhuge Kong, which guarantees you the link 2. Now if you open up this and Sun Mu, then you can continue even farther, because this can get you Zhuge Kong, and Sun Mu can get you Zhang Dai. Then you can get 3 bodies on field, and you can make the link 2 while keeping a monster on field. You keep Sun Mu for the bounce, if you're playing like a really monster heavy deck, like you know the combo they're going to do. I said they want to put Hulk on the field and then summon a tuner. On summon of the tuner, you can use the link to bounce a Hulk, and then you can use Sun Mu to bounce a tuner, and then maybe they've already wasted the normal summon. Maybe they can't extend, they pass it to you, you try to go for the OTK. And then, or you can leave Zhuge Kong on the field because you have 3 visits, and you have the link for the quick effect bounce, and you have Zhuge Kong for the spell trap negate. So that's why it's a really good card. It helps you extend or can help to make the end board better. Then it also has another good effect that when sent from field to the graveyard, spell trap card zone to the graveyard, especially with 1 Ancient Warrior from your hand. So this is also good because it helps if you get stopped, because say like on summon they affect Veil or in palm Sun Mu. Well, Sun Mu sends for cost. So you can send this card from field to graveyard for cost. You don't get Sun Mu's effect, but you get its effect. So if you have a wind in hand, any wind, because there's no level restriction on this card summoning, then you can summon the wind and make the link 2. So it's a really good card and run it to 3. Then we have borrowing of arrows. You target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls and 1 Ancient Warrior monster you control. Half the attack of the opponent's monster, and then you add it to the Ancient Warrior. So it can help get over some bigger stuff that's kind of hard to attack over. But it is targeting, so anything that has targeting protection will not, like, you cannot use this card on. And then when sent from field, when sent to the graveyard, if you control 2 Ancient Warriors with different attributes, you can place 1 Ancient Warrior spell or trap from hand or deck face up in your spell and trap card zone. So it's kind of good to cycle out between your spells and traps, and then you can use it to manipulate attack to kind of beat over some stronger monsters. Ancient Warrior Saga Sunlow Alliance. If you control Ancient Warriors with 2 or more attributes, you can declare 1 attribute, and your opponent cannot activate the effects of monsters with the attribute that they currently control. So on paper, this sounds really good, like Dark Ruler no more for an entire attribute, without locking you into no battle damage this turn. But like to get to this card, Like if you're going second and trying to go for the win or just break the board entirely, to get to this, you're going to need 2 attributes on field. The easiest way to do this is with Sun Mu sending something to add Zuge Kong. So you get a water and a wind, and you can use this card. But you have to normal summon Sun Mu, use Sun Mu's effect, add Zuge Kong, activate Zuge Kong, or summon Zuge Kong, activate this. So that's 6 things, 5 or 6 things that you have to do before you can before and up to activating this card. If your opponent does not negate any of those effects, what are you really hoping to negate on the field? I'm not saying there's nothing. Like there might be an effect that says this card cannot be destroyed by battle, and you want to negate that so you can destroy it by battle. Or this card cannot be declared. Like opponent cannot declare attacks on this card, and you want to be able to attack the card. Yeah, there are certain specific scenarios where this card would be good that you can negate that effect. But it doesn't show up enough to warrant this card seeing a lot of play. And even then, if you're actually trying to stop negations, they're probably going to negate something before you get to be able to use this card. And let's have another effect that if the opponent special summons a monster or an Ancient Warrior effect is activated, you can make all Ancient Warriors you control gain 300 attack for each Ancient Warrior monster you control. So you can make your Ancient Warriors pretty big with this. Like Zhongde already has a 300 boost from opponent's monsters. So say you opponent normal summons and special summons, you can activate this. They have 2 monsters on the field, so that's plus 600 for him. So you have 2 or 3 Ancient Warriors, that's another plus 6 or 900. So you can make him 4,200, 4,500. And he can be a really big body, a big beat stick with this card. But still, the negation is the main thing that you'd want this card for. It's just kind of hard to get to it. You can do it in the grind game, but you really don't want to be grinding with this deck because it doesn't have recursion and doesn't have super really good and strong follow-ups every turn. Because yeah, you can add some move with a link and then get a bounce, maybe a bounce with the link, which is decent, but it's not like I am 100% going to OTK you if you pass without breaking my board. It's not like that, so you don't really want to be grinding with this deck too much. Next up, we have Ancient Warrior Saga East by South Winds. This is probably the second best spell and trap. It has a really good effect when sent to the graveyard, but false. We're talking about its actual effect on field. That once per turn during the main phase, you can flip a coin, it lands on heads. You can send this card to the graveyard, and if it's sent from the spell and trap card zone to the graveyard, you can activate the following effect. This turn, your Ancient Warrior cards cannot be responded to by your opponent's card effects. So this is your cards and your effects of Ancient Warrior cards cannot be responded to. So they're basically spell speed 4. And then also, any Ancient Warrior monster you control, when this card is sent to the graveyard, gains the following effect. When this card declares an attack, you can destroy one card your opponent controls. So it's really good. It's non-targeting destruction. Plus, if you destroy a monster, it changes the number of monsters on field, and you can redeclare. So attack, pop a monster. Redeclare, attack. Switch to the other Ancient Warrior, attack, pop. If it's a monster, you can redeclare. Attack, pop the back row, pop the field spell, pop anything. Pair this with Zhang Yun, the final Ancient Warrior that special summons itself during the damage step from the hand. Then you can get a lot of pops during the opponent's during your battle phase. Next up, we have Defensive Shangbine. Based up on the field, if the Ancient Warrior monster battles, your opponent cannot activate any spells or traps until the end of the damage step. And also on field, at the start of the opponent's battle phase, you can send this card from the face-up card from the spell and trap card zone to the graveyard. And monsters your opponent controls cannot target Ancient Warrior monsters for attacks this turn. Now, it's important to realize that you can only use one of these effects per turn. So it has another effect in the graveyard that you can banish it to special summon an Ancient Warrior from the deck if the opponent's monster declares an attack, but you cannot do that at the same time that you send it from field to graveyard. But say, when that banish effect, it's kind of good because say you end on the combo typed out with 3 visits and Sun Mu. You end on Sun Mu, the link, and then it's opponent's turn. Well, they can't attack Sun Mu if you have the link on the field because of Sun Mu's protection effect. So say they attack the link and they're going to beat over the link and you've already used your bounce and you don't have Zhang Yun to protect it. And then have another monster that you know that can beat over Sun Mu. You can banish this card, special summon the Lu Xuan from the deck, and then you got the battle log where they can't attack it. That's really cool. It's kind of a protection play, but again, we want to be swarming the board, breaking the board. This doesn't really help do that at all. It's more just protection. So this card also doesn't see a ton of play. It's 0 to 1. So kind of just an overview. Visits is the best card. You can add one from deck to hand with a different name when you summon once per turn. And when setting the graveyard, special summon one from your hand. Run it to 3. East by South Winds is probably the next best one. Make sure Ancient Warriors they can't be responded to if it's sent from field to graveyard. And then also any Ancient Warrior you control gains a pop when it declares an attack, non-targeting. So you run it at 2 or 3. It's a little tricky at 3 sometimes. I personally run it at 2, but you can run it at 3 if you want to. Player preference. And then Arrows, Alliance, and Shangban are all 0 to 1. Player preference. Arrows is good for occasionally beating over a strong monster, and it's when it's hit the graveyard effect to kind of cycle through spells and traps is pretty good, but it's just not like a super powerful card that just fast playing it at multiple. So you either play it at 1 or 0 just for the deck space. 0 is usually what's preferred. Alliance is hard to get to that negate because you have to do 5 or 6 actions if you're going second, which something of that can be negated, and then now you really don't need this card anymore because your summon move got negated and you can't even get 2 monsters on field. So it's kind of a really good. It's kind of good in the grind game, but not good going second, which is what this deck wants to do. So you don't really play it 0 to 1. And then Shangban is more of a defensive card, and we are trying to kind of go seconds from the board, break boards, OTK if we can, or put up enough interaction on the opponent's turn to make sure that they can't kind of make another board on their turn 3. Those cards don't really go too well with what the deck wants to do, so they play it to 0 to 1. If you want to play them more than that, you can. I mean, player preference. It's just kind of what's played general between Ancient Warrior players that I know of. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And the next video will be a discussion of tech cards and hybrid builds for the deck.